Hey guys and gals, welcome to Drill of the Week number 16, Jose's Slip and Slide. This is December 24th, 2015, and this is my second video in 2 days. I'm trying to get a drop on next year. Anyway, I'm going to jump right into it. So this is short and sweet. This is a short study that is dedicated to a good friend of mine, a really talented young tuba player from Spain. His name is Jose Martinez Anton, and he came to study with me and take some lessons a number of times out in Seattle. And also the first time I met him, he was the Tanglewood Fellow at Tanglewood. This seems like forever ago, but anyway, he was taking a lesson with me, and he asked me about playing in the shifted low register and how you get in and out of it with facility. And I've since had a lot of people ask me what I do, if I have any studies, if anything that I recommend beyond just, let's say, Bordonis or Rochus down 2 or 3 octaves. And I do. Again, apologies for the congestion that I have, and the air is a little shaky right now because of this thing I've got going on in my chest. Anyway, when I started working on my shifted low register, people just told me when I asked what a shifted low register was, because I didn't know previous to going to Juilliard what it had to do with. They said, oh, basically the short answer is play with the embouchure that you use on the pedal notes, use them in the valves. When you go into the valves like D flat on a C tuba, D flat, D, E flat, and on up. But use the embouchure that you use on a pedal C, use that in the valves. Well, I didn't have a shifted low register. I had my regular embouchure I had extended all the way down to about a pedal G. And I didn't have any low register shift previous to going to graduate school. But when people described it to me, I started experimenting with a number of different mouthpiece settings and found one that seemed to work very well in the valves. Now, without going into that, because that's a discussion for an entirely different video, the pros and cons of the shifted low register, and I intend to broach that subject in more detail at some later date. But for the sake of brevity here in this video, I just want to show you guys and gals what I do and what I did early on in the development of my shifted low register embouchure, so that I could get in and out of the shift without it being so obvious, and without feeling that once I got in a particular setting, I was trapped in it. That's the problem with most players that developed any kind of shift in the low register, or in the high register for that matter. But the point is that if you're going to develop a shifted embouchure for certain applications, you should be able to get in and out of it seamlessly without it locking you in, because then it becomes it's not a very versatile tool, so to speak. So early on, first I learned how to develop a shifted embouchure, what that meant, which is the short version of what a shifted low register embouchure is, that you move the mouthpiece one direction or the other to favor the vibration of one lip in the mouthpiece over the other. You can shift up and favor the top lip vibrating. You can shift the mouthpiece down and favor the bottom lip vibrating in the mouthpiece primarily, or exclusively for that matter. But again, that's a can of worms that I'm opening up and throwing in your lap for a later discussion. Once I figured out which direction I wanted to shift, and for me in the valves, my preferred shift is to move the mouthpiece up and favor the top lip, I found that I felt like I was locked into a particular setting. So I developed that setting, and then it occurred to me, well, what if I just took a really big breath and sustained the airstream with sported air and tried to keep the buzz going while moving the mouthpiece back to what I would call a regular set, my regular embouchure. So I did that and kept at it for about a week, and the light went on, it clicked, and I could get these really nice smooth slurs in between the regular embouchure and the shifted embouchure. Now I could do that on the same note. I could do it from one note to another. But as I figured out what I needed to do, which is not use too much mouthpiece pressure, use a really supported steady airstream, and I like to lick, I mean, if you hadn't noticed by now, I like to lick the mouthpiece a lot. So a slippery mouthpiece, that's why I call it slip and slide. I just keep that buzz going and shift the mouthpiece back and forth between the two relative settings. So in the video that's coming, the demonstration after this, which I've already recorded, I do 2 short studies to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about. I start on a pedal C in the shift, which is favoring the top lip, and I play the pedal C in the shift, and then while keeping the airstream and the buzz going, go back to my regular embouchure and switch back and forth. So it's shift, regular, like that. And then I go up half step and I go into the valves, D flat, all 5 valves, and shift on the D flat, non-shift on the D, shift on the D flat, non-shift on the D, so on and so forth. Then I do it on E to E flat, or E flat to E, then E to F. And I'm trying to illustrate, you know, keeping that buzz going. The next thing that I do is I go back down and I do it faster, okay? And so there's no ability, if it has to be really slow and deliberate, it's going to be better than not being able to get in and out of the shift at all, but it's nice to have options really quick and on the fly. So I'll sit there and I'll speed up the tempo between the 2 different settings. So I'll go shift, non-shift, shift, non-shift, shift, non-shift, like about in an 1/8 note's time. And I'll do that, okay? Now, the next thing that I do is, and this kind of mixes it up, it kind of confuses you because a lot of times people want to start on a low note in the shifted embouchure, in the low register, and then as they ascend, they want to start transitioning back into the regular embouchure. And that's well and good. Of course, you need to be able to do that skill, but you're not really ever going to be really seamless until you can, without really thinking about it, go at will between the 2 settings. So the next thing that I do is I will play the top note in the shift. Sorry, my hands in my face. I'll do the top note in the shift and the bottom note regular embouchure. Top note, shift, bottom note, regular embouchure. Top note, shift, bottom note, regular embouchure. And then start working my way back down whilst doing that. Now, the acoustic in this cabin is less than ideal, so try not to get too caught up in it. You know, the tone quality is not great. Again, I'm recording on my Generation 2 iPad, and the interwebs here is really slow, so I'm really limited to what I can do with editing and riding the volumes and the tone quality in here. And I'm fighting this cold, but I am intentionally kind of accenting the shifted notes so that when you hear, you know right away when I'm in the shift and when I'm not in the shift. Now, finally, the caveat on this is that carried to its ultimate conclusion, what you want to be able to do is go in and out of the shift without there being a huge timbre change. And it can be done. I'm exaggerating the difference in the timbre change for this video so that you can readily hear it on poor recording equipment. At some later date, when I go into more detail about the shift, I'll talk about the pros and cons, the difference in tone qualities and applications, blah, blah, blah. But for now, I want to keep this short and sweet for New Year's Eve. And again, I'm dedicating this to Jose. Hey, buddy. It was good seeing you in Chicago. I hope you guys have a great Christmas tonight and a wonderful New Year. And take care.